Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is David. I'm a ICF certified recovery coach. I'm also in health sciences for addictions counseling, and I'm pretty close to going on to my third year, about another month. I also host online meetings, and that's the subject actually of today, which I believe will probably help you out immensely if you're willing to follow through with watching this video. So, I don't know how many of you, probably a lot of you, and pardon me as I make these videos, I have difficulty speaking and I suffer with pain, so bear with me. I'm a former polysubstance abuser. I've been clean for about 16 years, and I'm 46 years old. And so I remember smoking marijuana, drinking alcohol, doing all sorts of things. And, when my life, got to the point where it was unmanageable and I wasn't able to control myself, and I was pretty much the last person to realize that there was a problem, which isn't uncommon, right? When things get so out of control. We go to, we're told to go to places by our family, by our friends, by the court systems, to attend places like AA, and I understand, if it's your parents, if it's your friends, if it's a court system, then you may feel uncomfortable being there. You don't even want to be there, and that's, a lot of the time that's what it is. But I want you to recognize this, that this is your life, and no one else but you can change that. And at some point in your life, and you don't want it to be when you're 30, 35, or even 45, man, it could be even older than that, when you decide, my health is out of control, I've lost all my friends, and now I have to deal with these raw emotions, right? And so it can be very difficult. And so with the online meeting that I run, which I'll tell you about in a second, I believe it really is revolutionary. I didn't even know about it. I certainly didn't know about it because it wasn't made that aware when I was young. So, I was going to a meeting over like 25 years ago, or even more than that, but maybe even closer to 30 years ago. And so I wasn't aware of this. It's called Smart Recovery. Have you ever heard of that? Put it in the comment section if you have or not. I believe it really is revolutionary. And a man named Joseph Gerstein, I think? Yeah. He developed it in 1994, but it wasn't really commonly known, It was, and this is a topic, two topics I want to talk about today. AA. I don't want to bash AA. So Smart Recovery is revolutionary. I'm going to tell you about why it is in a second, and it's based off of things that are older but successful. Pardon me, just a second. Certainly you've heard of the term cognitive behavioral therapy, and I'm not a therapist or anything like that, but I am a certified facilitator, so there are some things I can talk about. So certainly one of the first places that you're going to be told to go, or that you think is the best place for you, and believe me, I am not knocking Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. I just want to give you a contrast of the differences. So if you're a person with anxiety, you may be in withdrawals, you might be not doing well. And that was my case. I was in withdrawals. How am I going to attend these meetings in any comfort? And depending on where you are, depending on what place you are, what if you're in the inner city? There's more rough people. I went to some inner city meetings and I didn't like it. And they were too big, meetings that were like, there's like 100 people in the room. And that just wasn't for me. And, I also visited other ones, more closed ones. I forget it's been so long. Open versus closed. I know one that you can talk around, one you have a speaker. But in any case, what I want to say, I don't want to knock AA because I know it helps some people. I know people that it has helped. But I want you to understand what is revolutionary here. So when you're in AA, you may feel that. You may feel anxiety. You may feel those things. And maybe you do AA online. That's okay. You can still see each other. You're in your own environment and stuff, and it makes that easier. You're able to turn off your camera or whatever, but I don't think there is a substitute for being in person. But in any case, smart recovery versus AA is secular. I'm not knocking faith because I have faith, but certain things are allowed in certain places. And so when AA was made, it had Christianity in mind. Higher power is all throughout the steps, and I understand that can be difficult for people to approach. And I mean, you can if you have a good mind and understand, okay, I'll just use my own higher power, right? But I remember looking at those meetings like this, looking at from step 1 to 12, learning that you're completely helpless. You have no control over yourself. You can't come to a meeting if you're under the influence and stuff like that. That can be pretty tough for people, and I believe that leaves a lot of people out. And just the way that I viewed it was, wow, 1 to 12. When am I going to get to step 12? And I thought, this could take me many years. And from what I hear from people, you're frowned upon when you relapse. And relapse is normal. I don't want to ever make that normalized because it's not, you should never make it normalized. I want you to be that person who decided to be the person who never relapsed. But we don't shame people, right? We don't shame people. Pardon me. I won't get too much further into AA because that's not really what this is about. If you've had your struggles with AA and it's just never really worked for you, I have a different method to show you, and it isn't based on the disease model of addiction is what AA goes by. You're helpless, you're helpless. You're completely helpless. This is a disease. You cannot control it. But have you ever questioned yourself, or in there, is this even true? And there are other models of addiction. That is not the only one, and so that's what they based that off of, okay? And I think this tool will really help you, the one that I'm going to describe. And if you've ever been in therapy, this is what it's based off of. Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, CBT, okay? Give me another second here. I have to get in another picture. Abdominal pain, I gotta put things on my stomach. So I want you to get a mental picture of this, okay? So in Smart Recovery, it's called Smart Recovery. I teach 4-point recovery, okay? And there are many different tools that you can use. There's a ton of different tools. What does 4 points stand for? The first point is building motivation. So we all need motivation, right? So if you're watching this video, you likely have some type of motivation. If you bring yourself to a meeting, you likely have some type of motivation, probably even if they forced you. And if you're forced, man, to keep listening to me, take control of your life, because dealing with those raw emotions that you don't like, you can learn how to deal with them, and your life will get better the further you go. So this is pretty ubiquitous with every person who is an addict to anything. And this isn't just this channel isn't just about people who are addicted to substances. This is also people who have behavioral issues, okay? Gambling, porn, whatever it is, and whatever behavior you have that's ruining your life, this can help you. So there's things that set us off, okay? There's always going to be something. Why are we using it in the first place? You know, probably because and my studies have taught me, and I already passed these classes, that around 80% of people who use either because they have trauma, and certainly people who use are more likely to develop PTSD, trauma, okay? Why? Because using takes you to places you wouldn't regularly go, which leaves you open to develop trauma, okay? So now let's consider this. We're going to have to deal with our emotions at some point. A lot of the time we use because people set us off, events set us off. We can't handle our own emotions. And this is what smart recovery is. Smart recovery, self-management and recovery training. That's what it stands for. And the 4-point recovery, which is the best. I mean, there's one for family, but this is for mainly everyone. There's 4 points. The first one is building motivation. That's point 1. 2 and 3 is controlling your thoughts and urges. And the last is living well. Building motivation, controlling your thoughts and urges, and living well. Sounds pretty easy, right? And that's what cognitive, oh sorry, that's not what cognitive, this is what 4-point recovery is. I'm doing this with a lot of abdominal pain, guys, pardon me. So, this analogy is actually pretty easy. And if you've been in cognitive behavioral therapy, you will understand. And here is what you need to know. If you can drill this into your head enough times, this won't only help you. This is called the ABC tool. Activating event, behavior, and consequence. But it's activating event, activating event, thought, behavior, consequence. They don't add that in there. Because after an activating event, you get a thought that comes into your head. They don't put that T there. So you could be with your parents. It could be a bad girlfriend, a bad boyfriend, an ex, whatever it is in your life that sets you and triggers you off. It's a great analogy. So this is cognitive behavioral therapy. An activating event occurs. Your mother yells at you at home. That is ABC tool. That is the activating event. So your mother yells at you, and you get a thought that comes into your head. Okay? Like, the thought might be, she always rules my life. Okay, she always rules my life. Or what's the thought that comes in your head when your mom yells at you? Or let's just say, like a boss yells at you, and you know that could be pretty nerve-wracking because it's your boss. My boss hates me. Okay, that's the thought that comes. The activating event, the A. Then you get a thought in your head, which is, my boss hates me. The B of ABC is a behavior. My boss hates me. That will lead to a behavior. Because my boss hates me, I have to go use. That's the behavior. Or pardon me. The behavior rather would be anxiety, panic, whatever behavior it is. You might go run out and smoke a cigarette. And then the C of it is the consequence. What is it? Or, you know what? Pardon me. I'm kind of getting this messed up. I'm doing this with a lot of pain, so mind me. It's actually worse today than it usually is. They don't set this up correctly because they should put the thought in there. You get an activating event. Your boss yells at you, right? And you get a thought in your head. You can write this down. You get a thought in your head. Right? He yells at you. My boss hates me. What is your behavior? Your behavior is to go out and use. Behavior, it's activating event, emotion, anxiety, whatever. I would have to mark it down for you because they don't do it any justice by doing that, but they yell at you, you display a behavior, and what's the consequence of that behavior is, for using, is drinking, is doing drugs. Is the consequence of the drugs, right? I'm going to write this down in real time. Just give me a second. I have to see it, and I probably should do a screen share, but I think you understand the analogy. Just give me a second. So boss yells. Yeah. So the activating event is your boss yells at you. Just remember there's an emotion that comes. It's the ABC tool, but I would put AEBC. So your boss yells at you. Then you get an emotion of anxiety. And then your behavior is using, and then your consequence is you wake up, you're in withdrawals, you have a headache, you may be on medications, you may be on meds that, you know, interacted really badly with the binge drink that you did, right? So if you can remember that, then you can deal with your emotions. There are so many other things I'd like to talk about surrounding this, but I just want to cover one thing. If you remember that tool, I believe, and you drill it into your head enough times, not only will it help you to deal with situations that come up, activating events that set you off, right? Right? You deal with people. This tends to be an activating event. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be things like, oh man, I realize a lot of my money is missing out of my bank or something like that. That may set you off, right? That may be the activating event. It doesn't have to be a person. So if it was, you notice there's a lot of money missing, right? Instead of controlling yourself, your emotion may be panic in your mind, and your behavior, it may not be using it. Maybe you'll lash out at somebody. And because you lash out, maybe you went and you punch somebody. And then that consequence is going to jail. So that's all I wanted to cover today. believe me, there's a lot more I'd like to cover, like boundaries and stuff like that. Maybe I'll do boundaries in the next one. Pardon my discomfort in here. I do suffer with a lot of abdominal pain. But I think you get the general idea. And I do have editing software where I can show you on a chart these things. But in any case, please contact me if you would like to have a one-on-one, if you'd like to. I'm not a counselor, and although that is CBT, that is smart recovery, and I do have certification to teach that. So, but I'm just telling you the tool online. But if you'd like any help, recovery coaching is more guiding you, helping find whatever motivation that you already have inside of you to help lead you and point you in the right direction. So feel free to contact me. I will leave my email in the description box. Feel free.